We're out. It's not our time anymore.
It's all right. Now we got another team's time with trio abusers facing off against the side of dry cereal enjoyers, which are the, I guess, superior cereal enjoyers at this point in time with the way things have been set so far. There we go. We got the teams on the right side. This is a best of 3 Octavia band because they don't want to deal with that. So makes me wonder if Chrono Boost was one of those early awakenings that was available for them. Oh, and
yeah, I'm
interested.
interested.
It was actually a Vice that was there. Okay.
Vice is, it honestly seems like it's what Lyarri has been defaulting to as her midfield. I've been seeing a lot of Vice and Drakkar, so you can expect the Drakkar to come out here most likely from Lyarri. Lumost looking to play the Zentaro, and then we'll probably get so Rune making an appearance. So I wonder if the Awakenings shift this at all, because last time on Atlas Lab, or at least the 2 times they played on Atlas Lab, Megaverse opted for Rasmus.
That's true. So we'll have to see what the Awakenings are as we get into things, but we know the comps. We got Luna coming back from Vaughn, and the last time we did see Luna from Vaughn on Atlas Lab, they never lost that entire time in both best of 3s. And looking at these opening Awakenings, Glass Cannon across the board, except for Spark of Resilience for the Asher for Bells.
Glass Cannon, okay. So this is almost like perfect scenario for YouAlreadyLose and Vaughn. They're going to get so much value from these Awakenings. You're going to see so much damage happen. Just take a look. Just one rocket chunked Lyarri for nearly a quarter of her health, or probably like a third of her health. And already has to play on the back foot. But the first one to turn level 2, so has the advantage here with the Molten Bolt. Might look for a kill on Bells. We're doing a little bit of ping-ponging up top, and it's Vaughn who seems to make the first move. And yes, nice. He does get the barrier, trading 1 for 1 now.
And that's the problem with Lyarri just being so focused on Bells there too, is that they didn't have anything to work with. But there we see the boost into the Predator missile, basically, to send them off the side. And Vaughn into Bells, into the combo with Asher to get the goal.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out is this is like Bells' first Asher appearance, at least on stream. Unless I missed it, it's mostly playing Julie or Rasmus, and rarely chooses to differentiate from those two. But I think Asher has been picking up some more popularity again as people like Joker and Elo Heaven have been showing some dominance in like the NASL. So cool to see the diversity, and to kind of show that Asher is still a viable pick here.
Also, because there is a bug fix too, where sometimes when they use their path splitter, it would have the core behind it when it shouldn't. So that way, it was kind of fixed to be a bit more effective. And as I talked about the path splitter, we see it come out there. So that's going to be a huge opportunity for Bells to use that to try and get some of the goal barriers down or anything else that they need to support this team. And we already see the core flips coming out from both sides in the perfect timing from YouAlreadyLose to send that away.
Great patience from him, waiting out the Zentaro ultimate perfectly and not letting him catch it at all. And Vaughn playing a little bit of second goalie here, covering YouAlreadyLose, who's really low on health. And you can tell that there's a good synergy here because YouAlreadyLose is now going to walk up, right, to kind of get him away from the goal line, where he is in danger of just dying and getting stuffed in. And until he gets, like, even if he dies here, it's much better for him to be in the midfield where it's most safest than to be on the goal line and get stuffed. And great saves.
Oh my goodness. And the boost coming out from Vaughn too. He almost got the angle for it so that they could hit the core and then finally get the goal barrier down. But actually the pillar from Lyarri, or not Lyarri, excuse me, from Megaverse was actually in the wrong spot and just hit their own goal barrier. So unfortunate to say the least there, but they still have the advantage. They have the KO from the Zentaro, and there goes the goal.
Yeah, Vaughn was standing pretty far back there. Lumost was able to catch him with the primary, and then on top of that, he had the full glass cannon stacks, or if not, nearly almost full. So that extra 40 power does play a big difference into the knockback and overall just damage or stagger that you take. Like, Lumost already chunked out from just like an ability or two between Vaughn and Bells. Vaughn getting banished. If it was in a little bit better position, Megaverse probably could have just KO'd him
that would have been
as well.
That would have been the most insane banish play we would have ever seen, at least so far, and we'll probably see some crazy ones to go. But speaking of to go, both barriers have gone on the side of the dry cereal enjoyers as one goes down for trio abusers. Let me remind you, they are the 3-time winners for Primetime Tuesday, and this is the first East bracket specifically that we have had for a Primetime Tuesday. Number 4 here, they're looking to go for 4-4. say for that many times, and maybe eventually it'll stick for Trio Abusers to change their name to Quadruple Abuser. I don't know. They'll change it to something, but it's apparently the name.
Maybe I'll get added in as a sub.
Yeah, you'll get added as a sub. There we go.
Can we get a great positioning from Bell staying on the top side, and then Vaughn with the pass from the secondary there, just passing it all over to Bells. And Asher, when you're in that goal line, you're still an Asher, right? Just use an ability or two and you'll stuff it in just like any other bruiser. Also, Vodible, I don't know if you know this offhand, but how many... Oh my goodness, the kill from Dubu. How many appearances in the finals do we have for Lyarri?
It's got to be 3 at least so far. I know one time Lyarri has not made it, but every other time Lyarri has made it into the finals and has not won it. And there we go. This might be why. Just because the way that Bells is able to perform on offense, didn't need to do too much there, just had to hit it through as the Sony salute. And shout out to Sony earlier on in the chat as they were making their own appearance. But Vaughn, of course, being that MVP and missile propulsion on Infinite.
Okay, let's go into the draft here. For the Awakenings, we have Luna hovered on Deadeye. It's going to make those damages. Expect the primary to do nearly half of someone's health, as long as you're getting the Deadeye proc. We do get Lumost on Built Different, which is best in slot for him. I don't know if YouAlreadyLose is going to opt in for Dancer or for something else here. Or maybe Missile Prop. Honestly, no idea what he can go for.
Extra rollout? I mean, not
extra, okay, so he's going for the more defensive option.
That, yeah.
Bell's going for Catalyst, a newer Awakening, and for... I wasn't paying attention earlier on stream if you guys had mentioned that the issue with the Energy Awakenings is bug fixed.
It is bug fixed officially. Yeah, Audi was able to do that while we were live during, I think it was, round 4 when that happened. So they fixed it for every new lobby since then. So shout out to Odyssey Interactive for being as interactive as they can be with the community.
Yeah, it definitely shaped the meta of the tournament for rounds 2 and 3 because I was picking the Awakenings for the lower cooldown.
It must have been a very insane way to play the game, too, with such a low cooldown for just hitting the core specifically, because that was the main thing that was affecting was your core strike cooldown. Sometimes it could be like 0.5 seconds, I heard. So now we don't have to worry about that too much, but it still has some of the stacking properties depending on what you're doing with your energy build for these players. And the Somersault comes out for the stun and able to get that aside, the core, a flip, or energy burst, whatever you like to fit your fancy to call it. Energy burst officially, though. Didn't get that gold barrier down, so you know that Trio Abusers are wanting something back in Lyarri with the shotgun blast. Not able to get that one through just yet.
Yeah, Lumos looking like he could get taken out here. Bells is playing pretty far up, and ooh, nice attempt. Lumos getting the kill on Bells, and now they get to be on the offensive. But the Luna Rocket able to get that final barrier, and Lyarri, great positioning, able to use the Jakar shotgun to score it in there.
You can hear the ambulance in the background because that's where they sent Trio Abusers to. They have to recover after that one and hopefully lick their wounds and come back with a goal. Well, a KO is going to help with that. The boost into the missile strike for the special for an early KO, and even a good evasive timing wasn't fast enough for that one.
Yeah, and we have both barriers taken out already. Lumos just making his way back, but Lyarri, I was just about to say, Lyarri has the core flip, but it's not enough. It was just... I think it's just the combo of the Luna secondary plus primary, right? The dash, or like the rocket boost plus the missile is able to... It's almost like a Juliet dash punch, but from much further away.
Ooh, core flip comes out. Special from Luna as well. And we see YouAlreadyLose just using everything to their ability to get the goalie goal. They haven't played goalie most of the game. Sometimes Vaughn's back there, boosts forward and saves the day. YouAlreadyLose is having so much fun on this Dubu on ice.
Yeah, and he has a great start for it already, starting with a glass cannon. And then you have Twin Drive for these multiple stuns, and it helps with KO pressure, right? The Dubu Somersault does quite a bit of damage and has quite a bit of knockback, especially when paired with Glass Cannon. If I was him, I would look for a kill on Lumos right there. almost putting him in, it's exactly like these type of situations, right? Putting him in that staggered position, and now anyone just needs to tap him once, and he'll most likely get taken off. Megaverse having to do so much work here, while both of his forwards are nearly staggered. No. Oh my goodness, trading 1 for 1. The forwards go out.
The gravity well. Also smart of Megaverse just trying to delay things with the banish and then putting the pillar up to see if they can just get it away from their side for some amount of time as both players on either side spawn back, Lyarri and Bells. And noticing Lyarri playing a bit more of a forward position for this team while Lumos is getting chased down by Bells. And well, there goes Megaverse off the side, and it's a 3-on-2 situation again.
Yeah, and with Megaverse being taken out, right? Like, he is such a strong goalie. He could, right now it's YouAlreadyLose at the top of the leaderboard for #1 goalie, but people fear the name Megaverse when it comes to this position. So taking him out is such a devastating thing. And whoa, what an interaction there, right? It was YouAlreadyLose using the core flip right before Lumost, getting the attack off too, and everyone was kind of just clumped up on top of each other, but no one was able to protect that.
So unfortunate to see there too. They were hoping to get the save, but just when everyone is bunched up on one side of the screen, it's so hard to time things properly unless you're looking very closely and have the reaction time of just a sniper. As we get to see some great maneuverability from the defense of the Dry Cereal Enjoyers. They were able to get that aside, but the Tofu Wall or Pumpkin Wall comes out again from YouAlreadyLose, who's just being a menace. Gravity Well, Lyarri's not going to get hit into that one, but I know YouAlreadyLose was hoping for it. Does get them almost fully staggered, just needs one final hit, and speed of final hit. Well, there goes Bell's off the side, and now there's some sign of relief for the Dry Cereal Enjoyers, but they still have not gotten that goal barrier down. They still keep getting staggered, and only Megaverse has almost a full health bar.
Yeah, and I expect someone to get taken out here in a second.
Yeah, Lumost and
oh my god, both of them. A little bit of a coordinated military strike on their team here. And what a dominant second round going over to Trio Abusers.
That it was. Trio Abusers cracked. I mean, it makes sense to wear that title because that's what they're doing. But finally on the stream, we get infinite prime time. Love to see it. Great that we finally have it come around, but it did get a little bit of a nerf. Instead of what it was before, 10% harder hits. It's only 5% now, and that's just the way things go with Primetime being a bit too powerful and why everyone was taking it, but now that's also why you see only a couple of them take it, where before it might have been good to take for everyone, but extra special cooldown, having that Tofu Fortress up for YouAlreadyLose at the start after every goal is going to help.
Yeah, and then Bell's getting the big fish here is huge, right? He was actually one of the ones getting taken out the most on Trio Abuser's side, so having the extra stagger and then the size especially, right? It's just like any other brawler. Size is the best thing you can possibly have on Asher. And take a look at the health. So much damage coming out from Vaughn here. Bell's kind of just gets to walk around freely and put himself in these nice positions while we're playing a little bit of sniper action from Vaughn in the back.
Lumost able to teleport forward and then just gets knocked off the side by Vaughn. Nothing they can do, just boost into it and away. And Megaverse somehow gets that core strike to the other end of their goal zone. YouAlreadyLose has to go for the somersault on that one. Lyarri doesn't have any of their cooldowns to work with. Otherwise, that would have been an easy goal barrier down. And we do see the only Blade try to delay things just a bit for the banish and maybe buy some time for Lyarri to respawn back in here, but they still have such long time on that timer to go for the cooldown. Vaughn now with their energy burst available. Tofu Fortress happens, and we do see a KO off the side, but Lyarri does spawn back in. Has the Xenocloak perfectly timed for them to get that away, but unfortunately, they can't get the core away, and Vaughn will get the goal #1.
Yeah, Bell's there. Unnecessary dribble at the end. He could have just shot it straight into the net.
Yep.
But I don't think he was aware that Megaverse wasn't there in the goal. But either way, we are seeing like it's a constant 2v3 or even 1v3 happening from which moisture of cereal is this team?
Dry Cereal Enjoyers.
There we go.
Thanks for asking. I've gotten confused a few times. Oh, but the core flip from the only Blade, almost able to put it through for Lumost. You can see the XD coming out because they were hoping it'd be successful, but unfortunately not enough for them, as Lyarri just trying to cloak and hide their shame a little bit with the way things are going in this one game.
Oh, but
it might be a 3-0, but the KO goes either side. Bell's carrying things forward. Megaverse, speaking of forward, was so far forward, trying to force that goal to go through, but it didn't work.
Yeah, it has to play up because he wants to take advantage while they have these two barriers right now.
Ooh, smart banish.
Great banish here. Able to protect from that energy burst from Bell's. And then on top of that, Lumost coming back and getting the KOs. Now they're up not only both barriers here, they also just have this 3v2 opportunity for once on their side, and they are able to connect it into the goal.
Great strike from Lyarri on that play. Vaughn didn't have the angle well enough, and we've seen Vaughn having to play that second goalie so many times today for things to work out for them, but didn't quite work out that time. So we'll see how things continue. Vaughn, again, with that Primetime that was on Infinite and the missile propulsion, just able to do so much damage from long range with their abilities. And you can see Lumost is just getting bullied into that Tofu Fortress.
Yeah, he got chunked out. The amount of damage. Oh my goodness.
It's man.
The Atlas Well explosion and then one rocket able to take him out completely.
Ouch.
And now Lyarri is looking like she's next on the chopping block to be taken out here. Dude, Bells aggressively using that core flip, trying to KO Lyarri, but just barely misses. Lyarri running for their life right now. And actually, this is a pretty good opportunity here to take out Megaverse, who has no energy whatsoever.
Megaverse just ran straight into the gravity well, too.
Oh, Vaughn actually looking for that exact opportunity, but Megaverse, noticing that he was a prime target there, uses his secondary, able to get out, and then has to come right back, though.
And he's still getting targeted by Bells here, too, because he's just getting squashed in the corner, having to use his own pillars to hide in so that Bells can't go for anything, and couldn't even hide long enough during the way that the gold barrier was up, and it was a matter of time for Bells just to bully things forward. And Megaverse has not even had room to breathe at this rune because he's trying desperately to set up those pillars and set things up properly for his teammates, but he's being targeted time and time again because of how weak Megaverse, or Rune specifically, is right now.
Yeah, and then the stronger Bells is in terms of, oh my goodness, so much damage and then getting yanked into the gravity well or just thrown into there. But I was going to say is the more stagger Bells has, he can actually just sit on top of Megaverse, and then you have these situations where it's much harder for him to defend because he can immediately pop all the pillars that appear. And it kind of eliminates this really powerful presence that Rune has otherwise as a goalie.
Ooh, nice to see Rune, or Megaverse, feeling a bit more confident here, and Lyarri trying desperately to get something going. And timings that we are witnessing from these pillars and the banish is more just to prevent some room to work with for the other side. And eventually we do see that KO onto Bells, which gives them something to do defensively so that they can get this away from Vaughn. But Vaughn's got their energy burst. They have all the confidence in the world with their Awakening draft so far, and the draft is typically where trio abusers abuse the rest of the competition because they have nothing that they can do if they don't draft against them.
Yeah, but they are able to keep up here, just trading the barrier back once again. But we're in a situation where, gotta look at the stream, dry cereal enjoyers are able to score right now. Vaughn looking really low. They should take this opportunity to try to get rid of him and turn this into a 3v2. Vaughn having no elusive left. Are they able to do this? And Lumost with the super surge dash able to take out YouAlreadyLose, and yes, it's enough to tie up this round.
There we go. You mentioned it, that super surge dash, huge for Lumost, and eventually we're seeing more and more of the scaling from Lumost. Zentaro, I mean, they've got an Omega level. You can see 2 Omega level characters on the other side, which makes things a bit more one-sided that way, especially with the way YouAlreadyLose is playing. Vaughn, of course, is one of those Omega level players, and even with the KO off the side, still so much pressure happening, and they just have to keep going elusive to dodge everything that's on the screen.
And this is such an important match happening here with the announcement of...
Oh, that's it!
Oh my. The Bells core flip. No, he didn't even get the core flip there. It was just Vaughn coming in hot over there, able to secure it, and that makes game 1 going over to trio abusers.
And slick kicks, I feel like, helped a lot for Vaughn there too, with the way that he was performing. Again, let me mention, Vaughn has not lost as this Luna so far with the way that they've been performing on Atlas Lab. If it's Atlas Lab, you need to ban this character, this striker from Vaughn, because the way that they are able to get, look at that, 13 KOs, all the damage that we have seen as well. 150 redirects, and just looking so strong for this team. It's just crazy that it was the Vaughn diff, not for the goals, because it's always Bells getting the goals here, but wow. Apparently there's a bug where if Rune places pillar and then teleports too fast, his teleport doesn't go off. Oh, so that's why Megaverse was in some odd spots here. Not to report that to the devs, but thank you, Megaverse, for letting us know. Hopefully in the next game, since this is a best of 3, you can have a different pick there. We'll be queuing in it to that next one momentarily. Let's go back to our cams for just a second as we get this all set up. Make sure things are good to go. Good to queue so that we can get into that next game there. Let me make sure I have the game score set correctly. Team number 1 is the one who is up by 1, which is Trio Abusers. Dry Cereal Enjoyers looking to see what they can do to come back. We have seen a couple game 3s in these finals against this team of trio abusers, but nobody's been able to take a second one afterwards. And now we go to Oni Village to see how things develop from here. Vaughn, You Already Lose, and Bells, Kai, Aimee, and Juliet. I mean, these feel like characters that these players are so confident on.
Right. This is, like, I would say Drakkar is the signature Vaughn midfielder champion, but on Oni Village, he loves to play Kai. Kai is pretty much deemed as like a mediocre, bottom of the barrel forward character, but a relatively strong goalie. But everywhere besides this map, on Oni Village, Kai is strong. So if you are a good Kai forward player, you can really shine here, because the barrage is like, these barriers are so hard to break on Oni Village, and Kai can truly use the speed lanes to his advantage, the barrage to his advantage, and just be everywhere on the map.
Well, now let's see how things go for this final draft that we potentially might see in the Eastern bracket. We have a Vice, we have a Zentaro, and a Kai. Kai goalies across the board. Vice definitely for Lyarri, because Liari's been feeling very confident on that. And let's look at those opening awakenings. Oh, this is the first time we've had Egoist and Orb Replicator as a combo, and Egoist as an opening awakening. And evades refund of 5 energy, 15 from energy burst. Reaching max energy grants extra speed, and that's what you want to see on Oni Village.
Yeah, so both goalies here opting for Replicator, which is pretty common. They're not going to use the Egoist speed boost to their advantage at all. So it's going to be a battle of which goalie ends up higher than the other one in the awakening drafts. Because the Dancer and Ponderer orbs are going to be huge for the team that gets them, right? Your goalies are already starting off with it, and it can snowball really fast, really quickly.
Already, speaking of snowball, first goal barriers down. Makes sense on Oni Village that you don't really want to focus too much on that. The Supernova from Lyarri, forcing Vaughn to go elusive and waste some of their core energy, but forcing people to go elusive on this doesn't really matter too much when the energy charges that much faster with these new abilities and that much more effective. We have the turret from You Already Lose, and You Already Lose always feels confident on this Aimee as a goalie and able to use those glitch pops, especially if they can get some extra range on it too. The turret, you're able to have it be a bit bigger with Monumentalist, but there we go, a great read from You Already Lose to get the save there, and so many core flips coming out, and Lumost just had to get a strike for that to go through.
Yeah, Dry Cereal Enjoyers here is able to keep their last barrier up, which means more aggressive plays overall. Vaughn was on the verge of being KO'd nearly the entire time of that round, and it looks like the addition of Liari's Vice is stacking on quite a bit of damage here, which is helping quite... Oh my goodness. But just as I say that, Vaughn able to return KO, or just start off the first KO of this round onto Lumos, while their team is pretty much full health across the entire board. Lyarri just trying her best to use her abilities here. The Supernova coming out to stall as long as possible. Lumos does make it back, but they have no barriers, and right now it's Megaverse who has to protect the goal against the one barrier of trio abusers.
Just letting the West know that their round 4 in Swiss is starting now, so we might just get straight into the playoffs from there after this matchup, and we'll see how things go and get some standings updates in just a bit. But Bells, Vaughn, and You Already Lose don't want to lose anything today. They haven't lost a single game. They're trying to keep it that way. We have the KO go the other direction, and now it's just Lumost and Lyarri, the double Ls that don't want to take another L in these grand finals, trying to prevent that from happening. And Bells, look at the trio passing play from You Already Lose to Vaughn to Bells. There's nothing of those two defenders who are split apart like just Moses parting the Red Sea, basically. And we got to see that one go through.
So many ankles being broken here, and don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty confident you're going to see these three in the top 500 Pro League Invitational that was just announced today as well. So this is a team that isn't going anywhere. So Trio Abusers is not just a Primetime Tuesday tournament, right? Even though we have 2 separate NASL teams between these 3 players, it looks like they're going to stick together and Trio Abuse all the way through this next tournament too.
Makes a lot of sense with the way things have been going so well for them. And again, NASL was set up like right at the start of the season for the most part, and Bells setting that one up right at the start of everything from You Already Lose is, again, not playing that goalie role as much, more as a forward-based goalie towards the midfield line and feeling so confident because, again, those goalie gears still work as long as you're on your side.
Yeah, you get to play all the way up onto the midfield, but both barriers down here, and it's one of those things where quick point, 10-second point immediately, 2 barriers into that score from Lumos. I was going to say is we have a little bit of an advantage here from Lumo specifically, right, onto this Amy, if they can manage to get the core to him, because Amy just doesn't have that anti-stuffing pressure that that Kai has here, right? Like, she doesn't have this barrage or Giga Blast that you can use point blank to just get someone off you. But Lumos, unfortunately, who I was mentioning needs to be in that position to break those barriers, is being targeted or taken out pretty frequently.
Makes sense to target that kind of a player, especially because we've seen some different changes recently with the most recent patch, and even with some of those awakenings that people felt a lot more confident with before. Talking about that Stagger Swagger that's no longer available, and a couple others that are out there that did buff Centauro a bit more. Same for Bells on the Juliet, but they got their special fixed with some of these bug patches, and they're feeling a lot more confident, but they're also going to have to feel a little bit out of place because they are off the edge of this map and having to wait for that cooldown timer. Is still finally a barrier going down on the other side, and Megaverse just taking their time, trying to see if they can set up Lyarri.
Yeah, that was a great save from that previous attack from YouAlreadyLose, who used that core flip and Megaverse reading exactly where he was going to send it, using the barrage to counteract that. And now we're in a position where Lyarri might be able to get this barrier here. Lumos walking up, and that was a failed attack. Unfortunately, Megaverse using the core flip a little too early here, but Lumos does have his own. The ego is popping off too. You can see the speed boost. He's going extremely fast.
And has that passive available too, and trying to use it to get that final barrier down, but wasn't quite successful in that effort. So has to wait for another opportunity, and somehow Vaughn able to bully through the Giga Blast, bully through the Thunderstruck, and bully through the defense to get that on.
What a great midfield play from him, right? Showing that even though he's been playing goalie in NASL, people deemed him the #1 midfielder, right? He was in contention for #1 midfield player in Omega Strikers NA. And like, yeah, exactly, right? Like, this is someone who is so good at the role, plays back and forth between goalie and midfield, and you can see exactly why, right? Like, able to kind of dribble between both forwards of dry serial enjoyers, and then perfectly time the core flip, scoring on Megaverse, dodging every single ability.
Wow. That's all I got to say is wow. I mean, top class performance from them to get that first set. And it was hard fought. You can see how the awakenings are developing so far between these teams, but nothing super special yet, except you know, the extra special we do see from Megaverse is going to help out a little bit with an extra Giga Blast each time the round starts after we see a goal being scored. But we need to actually stay alive and keep their goal barriers alive as long as they can to have any fight that they can put up here, because Lyarri went off so soon, and so did both of their goal barriers.
Yeah, one thing to note is that no orbs have been put into a little bit of funny interaction there. You can tell YouAlreadyLose actually wanted to build up his energy burst, because he picked up, I believe it's called Fire Up there.
Yeah, it was.
And oh my god, the KO on Megaverse into the goal. It's just so much pressure there, right? They're stacking on top of each other, both forwards from Chio abusers. It's like, how can you get past it?
And as you can see there, casting energy burst for 0% max energy to other allies, and speeds up your whole team by 40% for 5 seconds. So you already,
I think a little bit of a visual bug there, where it says 0% max energy. It should be like that. Yeah, it's like 30 or 40 that you give to your allies. And I know that very well when I was playing that quarterfinal match.
Yep.
And both, it was infinite Fire Up. What a funny interaction
and they
here.
Both took it, yeah.
And it's YouAlreadyLose who picked up that Fire Up, and oh my goodness, walking up, the core flip is able to KO, and Megaverse standing a little too close to that net, but where else is he supposed to stand in that situation?
We just see the speed boost on top of the Oni Village speed boost, just going across the field, getting that energy burst, as you mentioned, for the KO and the goal afterwards, and there was nobody in position to keep that one away. So great work so far by the side of Trio Abusers, and business as usual for them on Oni Village. We need to see some sort of a fight. We saw it, 2 goals in the last set before from the dry cereal enjoyers, who might just have to hang up the cereal box if things don't go their way here.
Yeah, we have Lumos here ready to get taken out. YouAlreadyLose trying to use that to KO, but at the same time, he gets that additional benefit of providing energy burst to his teammate, which Bells uses in that exact situation to get a KO on Megaverse, and then get that final barrier here. Vaughn walking down using his energy burst as well, not able to get into a point, but an ace to finish off round number 2.
for YouAlreadyLose as well, getting that ace with the turret. I mean, Bells and Vaughn both pushing everyone into that turret, so that it'd be the ace for YouAlreadyLose. And now we see Reverberation also available, increase stagger and increase cooldown rate for stagger, but built different. Also going to help a lot for that Juliet. Doesn't matter where they are in the draft position. They are going to take that every day of the week. The glass cannon for the other side might help a little bit so that they can have some extra speed and power. But you also see the big fish going for Vaughn there too on the forward Kai, and that size and stagger is going to help a lot as well.
Yeah, I think that was a bigger deny from Lumost because he knows that they have plenty of, because like built different is there, so Lumost is going to get some size increase, but he didn't want to let Lumost get the stagger instead, right? True. He wants to make sure that he stays as squishy as possible, because otherwise you have other options like stacks on stacks or something else to take from Kai. But actually, Vaughn's looking pretty low, so maybe that big fish is helping out already.
Works out when something you go for a denial also helps you stay on the field a little bit longer and not get knocked out off the edges like we were witnessing Vaughn and Bells a couple of times almost get taken out. But first goal barrier down, turret set up perfectly, so regardless of when that core goes down, well, Bells didn't even need to use the core flip. They're able to flurry into the core flip, delayed until the goal barriers are gone and the goal gates, and gets the perfect goal. I mean, this is just a symphony of a performance we are witnessing from the side of Trio Abusers.
And like individual skill level, you can see is not only is their teamwork so insane, but the individual level of each of these players is through the roof here. Like we're seeing Bells immediately from full stagger, just catching the mispositioned Lyarri, taking her out completely, and then getting that final barrier. Who it's like so many people, it's like making, like Megaverse is one of, if not the best goalie in NA, and he's just being turned into dust by Trio Abusers. Another ace. Immediately, it's just back-to-back pressure constantly. Nowhere to go, always being funneled on top of each other. There's so much damage coming out, and there's nothing that they can do. They're being choked out of this game completely.
This might be it for any of the competition for the first month's worth of Primetime Tuesdays, at least in the Eastern bracket that we have for this one. Both goal barriers down on the other side, but so is Megaverse yet again, who can't stay alive long enough to do anything. Goes for the Giga Blast and tries to send that one away. Instead, Vaughn is just following up themselves. Lumost, Giga Blast to them, and Megaverse barely saves it aside. Bells waiting patiently for the setup. We do see the only blade send it towards YouAlreadyLose. Nice passing play between Lyarri and Lumost to do what they can to try and change their fate that seems inevitable, but Lyarri with the Thunderstruck right in front of their faces in the enemy bases and is able to get in.
Yeah, I think it was the primary chain lightning that was actually able to finish it off, because YouAlreadyLose did manage to make it there in time, but finally we're seeing something, a little bit of pressure ease up as they get one play. And you know, when that first point comes in, you know, just a little bit of confidence and motivation also comes through. But Lyarri immediately from just 2 abilities taken down to nearly nothing, while we have Vaughn at level 9, Bells at level 8.
Oh, what a save!
Going into, what a save by Megaverse.
Oh,
and it's just like
the end there.
They are so far behind in EXP. They are so far behind in probably every single stat across the board.
Yeah.
And they just need to try so much more in order to make something work here. Lumos getting taken off here, and we're looking at what could be the possible final play, and it is here on Oni Village.
What a play it was to Vaughn, Bells, and YouAlreadyLose, the most dominant force, the Trio Abusers, but they've just been destroying the rest of the competition that's out there, not dropping a single game this time, made up for their journeys before. Had to play, you know, a couple less best of 3s, but doesn't matter at the end of the day, as they are the victors here. It says enemy victory, but it's actually just the victory for Trio Abusers. And let's take a look at those stats for a little bit as we break things down here. Crazy performances across the board, and this is the most confident performance we have seen since the first Primetime Tuesday, I'd say, Mystic, from Trio Abusers.
Yeah, honestly, this new patch is probably very in favor of Trio Abusers. They get things like Stagger Swagger Unstoppable, Stinger removed, and they know that they can play the core control meta and the kill comp meta better. Bells gets his Juliet buffed as well, and then they look like they already have a grasp on how well these energy awakenings are working. We have YouAlreadyLose picking up the fire up, using it off cooldown just to provide more energy to his forwards, who can then make a play with it, giving them more speed boost. And they just adapt so quickly. They know what they're doing, and how do you keep up?
You can't keep up with the way that these players are performing. The only thing that you can do is hope to deny some of the awakenings that work for them. But with the drafts that we always see just at the start for these strikers, there's so many different options that you can pick to, regardless of what build you want to go for. And they know every option that's out there because, again, they're at the top of the game. They're going to be in the Pro League. They're going to be Pro League level pretty soon, probably, if that hasn't even already happened.
So the Pro League ranks are out. And just to keep in mind, all 6 players on here in this match are of the Pro League rank, right? Yeah. We have only like 20 or so that exist in Pro League. So these are the top of the top players, and you can just see how much of a gap there is when it comes to the top 3 players versus everyone else.
Also, if anyone's looking at that Pride Blobo banner, or Blobo, Pride in all caps for the code for that. It just came out with this most recent patch, but they haven't done their own individual announcement for it yet, so get it while you can. That is there, so pretty great to see that there is a couple different coupons coming out for that. But speaking of things coming out, we did get to see some great teams here. Not to make a Pride joke about that, but we did have some amazing performances across the board. Just looking back at the Eastern Conference bracket, because again, we're going to have to take a look at 2 Western Conference matches, a semifinal and the grand final there. We had 5 stages of Swiss that went down to the wire. We went to our top 6, because initially we were going to do top 4, but then we had a couple teams that were tied, so we want to do a tiebreaker, make it as fair as we could, because Start.gg Swiss is it's okay instead of doing it manually. But Big Baller Brand fell to Avengers Assembled, and then Dream Meme Team, of course, yourself, Mystic, made it on through with your teammates over Wet Dreams. That was like the dream matchup that we saw there. Fell to Dry Serial Enjoyers, and so did the Avengers Assemble fall to Trio Abusers. So Trio Abusers again claiming the lion's share of the 105 prize pool provided by Odyssey Interactive, $75 for them, and at $30 for the other side of Dry Serial Enjoyers. And any final thoughts you have here, Mystic, before we head over to a break and check in on the West Conference bracket, see how things are going over there?
It's tough to say. It's like this is week 4 of Trio Abusers just staying at the top, and every single time we see a new team trying to come up from the roots, like it's every single time it's a completely new second place team who tries their best to take on Trio Abusers, and they just keep falling. So I wonder what it is. When is the streak going to end eventually, if ever at all? But if you want to see more Trio Abusers, you can bet that they'll be in the Pro League Invitational. And I'm sure a lot of people who are going to be signing up for the Pro League Invitational would love to get some more practice in. And I recommend coming to Primetime Tuesday to get your practice.
Yeah, do that. Get some practice in. We'll be doing another one of these next week. We're testing out a Twin Drive Thursday for EU players. So if there's some reason an EU player awake right now or watching this out there, we're testing it out on the 15th. If this is on YouTube, then it's too late at that point in time, because it'll be a couple weeks down the road that this one's uploaded. Speaking of YouTube, I do want to give a quick shout out to that, because we are approaching YouTube partner very quickly. So if anyone is out there hasn't subscribed to the Vodible YouTube channel, I definitely recommend doing that, so you can take your time, watch the VODs for these. We are, 123 subs away from YouTube partner. I don't have a command for it yet, but that's okay. I linked it there for anyone who wants to subscribe that. Definitely appreciate all the support we have had so far. Have some great VODs in there. Sometimes I upload some Rocket League stuff, and you'll see that every so often, but mainly it's been these VODs for Omega Strikers, because the community has been so amazing so far. I just want to give such a big shout out to everyone who's participated in this. And Mystic, again, any final words from you before we take a quick break and get things booted up for Magic 8 Ball and K-Bot to take us home for those last 2 matches that we have in the Western Conference?
No, I mean, I appreciate you having me on here, and I've been enjoying participating as well. So maybe you'll see less of me casting, because I'm going to try my best to end up in the finals at some point. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to try my luck next week. You might see me on the other side. I have a team cooking.
Oh, there we go. Got it in the lab. Got it running. Speaking of the lab, I mean, practice mode's out there too. If you did not see that, it wasn't announced in the core overview. It was actually in a post that they put on Twitter and also in their Discord. So practice up with your abilities. Get ready for the Pro League for those teams who are in the top 500 in their respective region. And again, take a quick break. It's not over yet. This was the grand finals, but we still have a couple of the Western bracket matches to come in just a little bit.